Hey, hi, how are you? We are finally back after I don't even know how many months. I don't want to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. I know it's bad. Little poor quality photo booth moment for a second. I wanted to pop in super early and apologize for a few things. 1, how fast I talk. 2, the lighting changing. I was editing this as the sun was going, or filming this as the sun was going down, so the lighting is a little off. It will switch in and out. I tried to white balance it as much as I could, so you didn't really notice, but you can definitely notice. Next thing I want to apologize for was my slight awkwardness. It's been a minute since I've been back in front of a camera, and it was a little awkward, but that's okay. That's fine. It's fine. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the first episode of I Love You So Big. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Okay. If you haven't seen me before, or if you've never been here, if you need a little refresher, my name is Brianna. I'm a 19-year-old from the Midwest, and we're doing something new. I've always wanted to do like a sort of podcast situation. I haven't been able to figure out how I'm going to put this on Spotify or on SoundCloud or Apple Music or anything like that yet. So the first couple episodes are just going to be just like this, me looking at the camera. These first 2 episodes, as per a class that I'm doing, hey Professor Pillow, they have to be 40 minutes long. But after these first 2 episodes, I am going to cut these down to about 20 minutes. We're going to have a few different sections. So the first section is going to be a little question thing. I'm going to ask questions on my Instagram story. We're going to go through those, answering any questions that you have, anything that I can address. I may dedicate a whole episode to one question. And then we're going to have a music recommendation section, which I think is going to be really fun. I always love finding new music, and I think that this would be a really good way to give you guys some new music that you haven't heard, some things that I've been enjoying, some lower end artists that I've been listening to, not lower end, but more underground, some people that you may not have heard of, some people that you have heard of, some new music, all kinds of things. I just think it would be absolutely amazing. So for those of you who don't know, if you see me shoot down right here, it is because I am checking to make sure that everything is how it needs to be, that I'm in focus, that I'm still recording. I have a 11-minute timer set on my phone because my camera stops recording every 12 minutes. So if you see a weird cut every 10 to 12 minutes, that's why. It's because my camera stopped and I had to restart it. So we're gonna get into it. Today's questions center around being queer and my gender identity. So I'm going to have my Instagram linked down below. So if you're not already following that, be sure to head that way. I will be getting those questions rolling. I also do on my story, I do little kind of weekly check-ins. I do probably a little bit more than weekly, but most of it is I use We Are Not Really Strangers question cards, and I take those question cards, usually that they've posted or other people have posted that they've reposted on their story, and I put a little question thing there, and you guys tell me how you're feeling, and I post those answers fully anonymously. I won't message you unless you tell me to, that you need someone to talk to. My DMs are always open, but I post those so you guys know you're not alone when it comes to different things. So be sure to watch out for those. Okay. So let's get into the questions. I've also already filmed this once and I'm having to redo it the next day because of technical difficulties. To which, if that happens this time, I'm leaving in because I want you guys to see those. I also talk really fast and I apologize. I'm trying to slow down. It's not really working. We're working out kinks here, guys. We're working out kinks here and we're doing it together. It's a fun time. Okay, so let's get in. First question is, what are some things you would do if men didn't exist for 24 hours? So, I think that the first thing that I would do if men didn't exist for 24 hours would definitely be just to go places alone. Because I try not to do that for the sole fact that I'm very small. You see me standing next to my bed, I'm 4'11". Okay, I'm very small, I'm really petite, I weigh a whole bunch, so me going out alone with the way today's world is very scary for me. I tend to take pepper spray with me. I either keep it on my keys, in my purse, in my center console. Sometimes I'll hook it on the belt loop of my pants. It just kind of depends, but I try to keep it on me for that sole reason that I'm terrified of going places alone. I think the next thing that I would do if men didn't exist for 24 hours is see women in office in more powerful positions. Because we already have women in office, there's not enough of them, nor are they in high enough positions. So the next thing that I feel like I would do if men didn't exist for 24 hours, I think that I would wear whatever I wanted without feeling like I'm being over-sexualized. Because you can wear anything and men will still over-sexualize you. I'm literally wearing a t-shirt and some jeans today, and in this exact outfit, I've been catcalled. So, it is not my favorite thing to do. I would just prefer to not do it. That is not so much in the queer topic that we're talking about today, but it is a question that I want to answer because I thought it was kind of cool. What would you guys do if men didn't exist for 24 hours? Real question. I usually don't ask for comments, but I'm genuinely curious what you guys would do if men didn't exist for 24 hours. So, the next question I have is how quarantine has helped me become more comfortable with my sexuality. So, for me, I have known that I was queer since about the 8th grade, and I say queer because I feel as though gender and sexuality are fluid, and for me, I would personally not have to come out again in a sense, then just being like, hey, I'm queer. Like, I'm queer, gay, whichever term you want to use. I just prefer to use the word queer. It's more comfortable for me. But I've known since about the 8th grade. But when quarantine hit, it got a little bit more serious for me because before quarantine, I was kind of not so much in denial of liking women. It was more of I was trying to suppress that within myself. Before quarantine, I had seen this girl freshman year of high school. I'm a freshman in college, if you guys didn't know. I'd seen this girl freshman of high school, and we did that like little dating that you do as a freshman, like off and on for about a year and a half. And then I exclusively dated men up until after I graduated high school, or the tail end of my senior year. I graduated a semester early, so I graduated December of 2019 instead of May of 2020. But then I had seen, I think, 2 girls between December and May. Technically 3, because I had that little like weird talking stage that you guys do, you know what I'm talking about, but that didn't go anywhere. But, so 2-3 girls. So when quarantine hit, it kind of just hit me that I didn't like men at all. Like, I realized that all of my boyfriends leading up to that point, I never really, like, it wasn't ever really a true attraction to them. It was more of trying to convince myself that there was. So quarantine, sitting with myself and reflecting and thinking about my feelings and those kinds of things helped me realize that, and I honestly appreciate that a lot, because I feel like if it wasn't for that, I would still be in complete denial that I didn't actually like men. I feel as though I would still be sitting here today trying to convince myself that I liked men, and that's just not the case, and I knew it wasn't the case, but I just didn't really want to come to terms with it. So that, in a sense, is how quarantine helped me become more comfortable with my sexuality. So the next question I've got is, when was my first queer awakening? So this is really funny. So for a lot of people, their first queer experience, queer awakening, usually happens kind of young. This doesn't go for everyone, so if this doesn't happen for you, don't think that there's something wrong or anything like that. This is just how, when I talk to my peers, this is how or when they've experienced theirs. But for a lot of people, it happens kind of when you're young, and it's often with a TV show character or, a cartoon character of the sorts, those kinds of things. But for me, it happened in the 8th grade. I was about 14, I think. I apologize if you can hear anyone outside my door. I do live in a dorm room, as you can tell. Sometimes they're a little loud. But it happened around when I was 14. This girl had transferred to my school, and we immediately clicked. Like, we immediately became best friends, and it was absolutely amazing, and I loved it. But on my end, it was more of realizing, hey, you really like this girl, and not like in a friend way, and that was so weird to me. I never experienced it a day in my life. I didn't understand, but it was kind of like, whoa, like, slow down, like, what is this, so for me, my first queer awakening was with my best friend, and it lasted for a really long time. Those feelings did, and I still hold love for her, but it's not the same love that I held for her when we first met, in a sense. So, that changes a little bit, and that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but that was my first queer awakening, was with my best friend at the time in the 8th grade. Joyous little 14-year-old naive me. It was wild. So our next question is, okay, all right, so let's go into this. Let's just dive in. So the next question is my coming out story. So if you haven't already seen, I have made a video about coming out. I can't exactly remember if I talked about my story itself, but I have made a video about coming out. So my story is a little messy. So freshman year, I finally decided to come out to everyone, at my school and my peers and everything. And this was when Musical.ly was a really big thing. And sometimes I find the sound on TikTok and it's immediate flashbacks of when this happened. But, Musical.ly was a really big thing. And so I made a Musical.ly about being queer, like being gay. And my stepmom had found it. And I thought I hid it so well. I thought I was so good at hiding it. Lies. My account was not on private. My face was everywhere. Like, you could tell it was me. And I thought I was so good at hiding it, and that just wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. So I kind of outed myself to my parents in a sense. I kind of laugh about it now. At the time, it wasn't really too great. I laugh about it now, and then after that, I probably came out to my parents 2 more times, I think. I'm pretty sure I came out a total of 3 times. It wasn't so much different sexualities. It was just more of my parents learning, having a queer child and doing all that, which I don't fault them for at all. It's a totally new experience for them. At least it was new at the time. This was about 4 years ago. 4 years ago now. 4 or 5, somewhere in there. But for them, it was a totally new experience. It's something they obviously never experienced before. My 2 older sisters are very straight, and then my younger sister, in my opinion, is a little too young to understand what's going on, like to know any of that at the moment. Which she totally could, and that would be valid, but in a personal opinion, she's a little too young to know if she is, and at the time she was extremely too young to know if she was, which I'm not saying that she is, because I have no idea, and that's not something I would want to push onto her, because that is her figuring herself out and completely up to her. But I was the first, and as far as I know, the only queer child in the family, and so that was something my parents had to adjust to. And over time, it was kind of more of like I would bring boys home, so then they would ask me about it, and I'd be like, yeah, like I still like women, but I mean it was in a little bit more of a not so nonchalant setting. It's not something I really like to go into on such a big platform, but that's the small gist of it, which I appreciate my parents so much, and they've become so understanding throughout the years, and it's so amazing, and I love it so much, and they're chef's kiss. They're in Hawaii right now. Y'all, if you see this, I love you. How you doing? What's up? Okay, anyways, moving on. So the next question is, what was it like growing up in a small town while being queer? So, growing up, I had moved around, a few towns, but most of my career life was set in my hometown, or what I consider to be my hometown, because I was there from 5th grade to senior year. So I consider that my hometown. It's where I spent a big majority of my life. So growing up there and being queer wasn't as impactful as growing up there and being a woman of color, which is something that we will get into next video. I will talk about all things women, being a woman in POC, but growing up queer, and specifically my hometown, was slightly traumatizing in a sense. I don't know if I would use the word traumatizing, but it was very impactful on my mental health and how my peers perceived me. And there wasn't many, at least that I knew of, there wasn't many women that were out, especially those who I was attracted to. So unlike a lot of people, growing up, you get to experience, everything from your first kiss to your first girlfriend, your first crush, all of those things. But mine were a little more difficult. I was late for a lot of things. I didn't have my first kiss until freshman year, which is perfectly fine. But it was a little late compared to my peers. I remember my peers always talking about when they had their first kiss and when they did this and this, that, and the third. And it was a little odd for me. And my peers could always openly talk about, their boyfriends, because I had usually my friends were females, so they would always talk about their boyfriends, and I would have to secretly sit behind because I couldn't really talk about my girlfriend at the time, or I couldn't openly be in the hallways with my girlfriend without being ridiculed or something being said about us, and that kind of thing. So that was kind of detrimental in a sense. And then it's also in my hometown, going out with my partner and it being one of those places where you can't really hold hands with your partner in public. You got on a date, everybody kind of sees you as just friends, unless you obviously do some kind of PDA, which is not really my thing. But most people just see you as friends, and you're like, no, this is my partner, we're together. But you often get stares, or you get people who say things. And then when I was in high school, which obviously I say that, but I was in high school a year ago. It's been a minute since I've been in high school. But when I was in high school, YOLO was a really big thing. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically an anonymous app that you use on Snapchat. I'm assuming anyone who's watching this knows what that is. But YOLO was a really big thing, and my YOLO would constantly be full of people bashing me for being queer and talking about how disgusting I was and how awful it was and that it was a sin, and two women are not meant to be together. It's supposed to be a man and a woman, and that really hits home. And so while my friends were getting all these, cool messages or nice messages and this, that, and the third, I was getting hate for being me and being something that I couldn't change. And that fell outside of just anonymous messaging apps. there would be times when I would be called disgusting by peers and by adults alike, and it was just like I can't catch a break when it comes to that. So that just on its own was enough for me to want to leave more than anything. Eventually I turned to TikTok, and TikTok, I have found, the LGBT community on TikTok isn't great. It's not amazing. It's not rainbows and butterflies, but I found some of my best friends on there, and it's absolutely amazing. And I couldn't thank them more for helping me through everything they have. So going off of TikTok, finding a community of people who didn't bash you for being you and accepted you for being you and loved you for being you was absolutely amazing, and it is the best thing that has ever happened to me. It almost helped me escape my hometown while still being there, and I can't thank that enough at all. Like, genuinely, I cannot thank the community and my friends that I made on there more than anything. It is absolutely amazing. So, moving on from that, we have what looks like 2 more questions. The first one is, how do I deal with my dysphoria? So, personally, my dysphoria is something that has impacted me more now than it has ever before, and I don't exactly know why, and I don't really deal with it in a sense. It is kind of something that I brush to the side, even though I really shouldn't have to, but I'm one of those people that I look in a mirror and I have no idea what I look like at all. I couldn't tell you, I couldn't describe myself to you. I can look back on things and I'm like, that's not me, that's not what I look like, and then look in a mirror and be like, that's not what I look like either. So it doesn't really make any sense to me, and it kind of sucks. Recently, in the past couple weeks, I came out as non-binary, and I use she, they pronouns. I really only use she, her pronouns because there's some people that refuse to learn, refuse to understand, and I just am like, you know what, I'll make it easier for you. Use she, they, or she, her if you absolutely have to. But they, them is a lot more comfortable for me, and this leads into the next thing, which is, what are things that make you feel like your pronouns should be they, them. So, being non-binary for me just makes a lot of sense. I know that I'm not a man. I know that I have no use for he, him pronouns. None of that fits me. But I also know that I don't always feel like a woman. I don't always feel like I fit into women's gender norms, or, how you perceive a woman. And when I first came out as non-binary, it really scared me. I have a ton of non-binary friends, and I went to them and I was like, I feel like I'm stepping on the toes of trans people, because in all technicality, if you are someone that identifies as something other than what your assigned sex at birth is, you are considered trans. And for me, I was like, I don't really feel right saying that I'm trans, because that feels wrong. Like, I feel like I'm stepping on the toes of trans people, which I don't ever say that I'm trans, because that's not really the case. It is technically, but it's not. But for me, I went to my friends and I was like, hey, like, I feel like I'm stepping on the toes of these people, and I feel like I would be invalidated, or by doing this I'm invalidating them. And they were like, no, like, you are completely validating yourself, and you're learning things about yourself and you're coming to terms with things, and it's absolutely amazing, and we support you no matter what, and that was so amazing. But I know that what makes me feel like I should be someone using they them pronouns is the fact that someone could address me as she her and it doesn't sit right, but then someone addresses me with they them pronouns and it's like a weight is almost lifted off my shoulders. And I have times where I want to dress more masculine, I want to present more masculine, not so much like a man or what you would perceive a man as, but more masculine, and it's not so much stemming from my sexuality. It's stemming from something inside me that is like, I don't feel like a woman today, and it's odd because a lot of non-binary people I see, they look non-binary. You can't really look like something like that, but they often give off androgyny a lot of times and all of those things, but I tend to present more feminine. So for me, it was like, I don't really see these more feminine non-binary people. Can I really be this if I'm presenting more feminine? Is that valid of me to be this feminine and be non-binary? But then I realized, non-binary people don't owe anyone femininity or masculinity or a mixture of the two, or you don't owe anybody that. You are doing it for you. It is your mindset. It is whatever is going to better your mental health and whatever is going to make you feel like you. And that's why I decided to come out as non-binary. And it's more of a social media thing. I haven't really told my parents. So if you're seeing this, hi, non-binary, let's not address it when I come home. But yeah, like it's I also had I had this situation on TikTok before I left to go home for Thanksgiving break, and I was like, hey, could you guys use she they pronouns in the comments for me for something? And them doing that on its own was amazing. It felt absolutely spectacular and it felt so right, and it's like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it felt so right within me, and I was like, this is it. This is correct for me. This is right. This is what it is. And that's another part that TikTok has come in to play to help me so much, and I'll forever be grateful for it, So that's that. That is the end of the questions. And so we're going to move into the next section, which I'm super excited about. Okay, pull out my phone once again. So if you also do not follow me on Spotify and you use Spotify, you should head over that way. I'm going to have this linked down below also with my username. But today, we're going to go into my Love is Love playlist, and I'm going to talk about all of my queer songs I've been listening to recently, and I just love them so much. They made me so happy, and I've been finding new ones, and a lot of these aren't like super unknown. There are a lot of known songs, but my Love is Love playlist is literally my favorite LGBTQ plus artists, and if you have any suggestions, please leave them down below. Like, if you have a favorite that I don't talk about, or if you go to this playlist and you don't see it, please tell me it along with your favorite song by them. It would be amazing. Okay, so the first song that has come back into my life a lot is Same Love by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis featuring Mary Lambert, along with She Keeps Me Warm by Mary Lambert. And those songs, I remember the day I realized I liked women, Same Love came on, and I was like brought back, and I was like, yep. And I cried, 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 and I was like, this is it. A lot of people, theirs tends to be Girls by Girl in Red, and while that song did get me, Same Love will always get me so much more, and I I love it, and I love that it's come back into my life, and it is at the very top of this playlist, along with Girls Like Girls by Haley Kiyoko. Immaculate. I remember watching the music video for that for the first time, and was like, oh my god, it's women. It was crazy. It was crazy. Okay, so the next song is The Most Dangerous Weapon is a Wonderful Woman by Evan McIntosh off her Mojo album. Evan McIntosh is one of those people that I found on TikTok, and their music hits. I remember I found the Mojo album about a week. I apologize for the lighting changing right now. The sun is going down. But I found the Mojo album about a week after it came out, and I listened to it on repeat for a week straight. And that song is one of my favorite songs on the entire album. It is so good. It never misses. Okay, so the next song is The Village by Wara Bell. I can't ever say their name correctly, but this song is another one of those songs that's come back into my life, and this is another one where I remember watching the music video and being completely in awe of everything that was happening. I was like, yep, that's it. That is the one. That is the song. That is what's going through my mind. And it is so amazing. The one line where it says, it's literally, there's something before it that I can't remember right now, but then it says, there's something wrong with the village. And I was like, that is it. That is how I feel. I know that is what it's like in my hometown. You know, like, it's not me. It's them. It's not me. They're the ones that can't understand. There's nothing wrong with me, you know? The next song would be I Wish You Liked Girls by Abby Glover. That song is how I felt with so many women growing up. There were so many women that, you know, I would be attracted to, and I'm like, nope, they like men. Or there would be the girls that would, you know, kind of lead me on, and they'd be like, oh, like, I don't like girls like that. And I'd be like, well, you did this for so long for what? Like, why did you drag this on for so long if you're just going to tell me you don't like girls? That doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand, you know? So I Wish You Liked Girls, Immaculate. The next song is I Met Sarah in a Bathroom by Awful Tune. This song, I don't know what it is about this song, but I literally play it on repeat every single time it comes on. Every single time. It's so nice to listen to. And it's so short, and it makes me so sad. Why they decided to make such a short song that's so good, I don't know. And if this isn't on my Spotify Rewind, I might be really sad. I will actually be a lot sad. It's so good. So good. That is one song that if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it right now. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. The next song is Little Miss Perfect by Write Out Loud. I just did a TikTok to this sound yesterday, and this song explains so much about me, you know. It gets me every single time. I have been trying to get that one belted note, and I've almost got it. I'm so close to getting it, but I can't get it, and it makes me so sad, but it's so good. Next song is Could This Be Love by Saturn 17. Saturn 17, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it, but they did it so well that I'm not mad about it. You know, Could This Be Love is so good. It's kind of like more upbeat, you know, it's a little, you could dance to it just a little bit, just a little bit, but it's so good. 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 Next song is What Kind of Lonely Are You by Leona, and this is one of my friends, and they never cease to amaze me. Never, ever, never. I don't know how they do it. What Kind of Lonely Are You is one of my absolute favorite songs. Leona kind of makes softer, you know, a little sad queer music, but it's so good, and it hits right in the right spot. And I appreciate everything that it is. I have 3 of their songs in my Quiet Hours playlist. because they're so soft and they're good to listen to when you're studying or you're about to go to sleep. And yep, it's so good. It's so good. The next song is someone that I found on TikTok. Specifically, this song is Clueless by Ellie Williams. And this song is also upbeat, but it has like a little bit of a sad, it's like, to me it's a little sad of like what's going on and like the story within the song, but the song itself is so good. I know I'm saying that about all of them, but it's because these songs are actually so good. But Ellie Williams makes some really good music. After you listen to Clueless, listen to some of her other music and you will not be disappointed. Ellie Williams is doing it. Oh my gosh, next song, another person I found on TikTok is Lexi Dunn, and her song Love Me or Leave Me. I don't even like country. I don't like country music. I grew up on country music and I don't like it. But Love Me or Leave Me, scream it. Scream it. I scream it every time it comes on. I'm in my feels. I'm in my moment. Don't mess with me. I'm in my zone. It's so good. I don't know how it's so good, but it is. I literally posted on my Instagram story and I was like, yep, found my new karaoke song. This is it. This is the one I always, okay. I didn't grow up in a bar, but I had a family member who owned a bar and I would always go in and sing karaoke, and she had this jukebox and it was full of country music and like old country music. So I've always grown up at karaoke singing country music. This is the new karaoke song. This is the one. This is it. And I love that it is a queer artist making country music. A lesbian specifically. I know there are some queer artists who make country music, but I haven't found a lot of them. But Lexi Dunn is it. She has another song I haven't listened to yet. So I recommend that you go listen to that one also. I'm sure it's good. It's Lexi Dunn. Enough said on that one. And the next song is Midnight Love by Girl in Red, and that song not only contributes to, you know, queer love that I felt, but also towards, you know, when I was with men and it was like they only wanted me when it was on their terms. And, you know, I've been with a female or two where it's been the exact same thing, where they only wanted me when it was on their terms. It was never on my terms or a mutual term. It was only ever on theirs. So Midnight Love, you got my heart. You got it. And then the last thing I'm going to recommend to you is Literally Anything by 070 Shake. I don't know how they do it. Glitter, and I'll have to find it really fast. Glitter, and I laugh when I'm with my friends, but I'm sad when I'm alone. Those two off of the Glitter EP. Immaculate. If you've ever watched, there's a show on Netflix that the opening, I'm pretty sure it's the opening that has glitter in the background, and it's so good. That's all the songs I have to recommend to you guys. So if you guys feel like you want to, hop over to Spotify. It'll be linked down below in the description box, and check out my Love is Love playlist. Next week we'll go over my Black Joy playlist whenever we talk about all of the things being POC, which is going to be really fun. I'm really excited for that one. The last couple things that I have to say to wrap this up. So this podcast, it's not really a podcast because this is in video form, and I apologize for that. I'm working on it. This podcast, if you have any recommendations or things that you want to talk about, want me to talk about, feel free to leave those in the comments below, or watch my Instagram stories and I'll be asking questions over there periodically throughout the week. Along with, feel free to like and subscribe and share with your friends. That would be amazing. I would love it if you could do that. I'm going to work on getting this on more of like a SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music sort of situation. I just gotta work out some kinks and figure it out. But if you miss me say it, these first 2 episodes have to be about 40 to 50 minutes long as per a class that I have to do. And then After that, they would be cut down to about 15-20 minutes because I cannot talk for 40 minutes. I'm trying to elongate this in case you haven't realized that yet, but I cannot talk for 40 minutes. Despite my big mouth, I can't do it. So, just keep an eye out for those. I love you guys so big, and I hope you have a great morning, evening, night, whenever you're watching this, wherever you are, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Okay, bye guys.